Hey guys, I hope you're well. I'm not sure if you're like me and been struck by the amount of fake news that seems to be going around at the moment, especially in the midst of this COVID pandemic. There seems to be so much stuff coming up that's a bit crazy, a bit random, and sometimes I even think to myself, how gullible can people be? I know I've seen stories, for example, people saying that COVID-19 doesn't exist. And when you've got no friends and your family members who've been affected by it, you sort of realize it really does exist. And I can't believe people are sharing this stuff. Then you see people sharing stuff like 5G is causing COVID-19. They're setting fire to masts. Only problem is they'll then be complaining soon afterwards that they haven't got any mobile phone signal. And there's so many other stories that have been spreading. We hear about people who have died because someone said that drinking pure alcohol will stop you from getting coronavirus. And this fake news stories just seem to be getting bigger and bigger and spreading over and over again. And you know what? They can cause a lot of damage. Sometimes we laugh at them, but sometimes they get serious effects of them. And fake news isn't a new story. It isn't something that's just come around since the internet and since Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's been going around for years. And in our church, we've been exploring Revelation chapter 2 and 3 recently and looking at Jesus' warnings to the church. And there's two churches in particular, Pergamum and Thyatira. I'm rubbish at pronouncing Greek names and Turkish names, etc. And these are two cities that had churches. And in the churches, they were getting misled by some people. There were some people who were telling them stuff that wasn't true. They were saying things like, go and worship at the temples of other gods. It's no problem at all. And they were encouraging them to go be a little bit sexually immoral, a bit loose. And Jesus speaks to these churches and says, guys, you know what? This isn't right. You shouldn't be listening to them. And you see, there's one problem I've discovered with fake news, or two problems. The first thing with fake news is this. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's fake or not, because often fake news, if it's good fake news, will have an element of truth in it. If it was completely fake, you'd think it's crazy and wouldn't listen to it. But when you put a little bit of truth into the fake news, and you mix a bit of truth and fakeness, that's a word, in there, it makes it more believable. So for the early church in Thyatira and Pergamum, they had guys who were telling them great stuff about Jesus, stuff to follow and stuff that's really good. But then they mixed it up with stuff that wasn't true. And then the next thing about fake news, if it's good, is it sort of grabs onto what you want to be true. The stuff that you would love to be true that's not true. When someone shares an article or some fake news that supports your view, your worldview, or your personal view, your moral view, you're more inclined to like it and share it because it's backing up what you think in your hearts. So in the early church, the reason why this fake news was spreading through about the ways of living that wasn't matching up to what Jesus wanted was because it's what people wanted. Guys kind of wanted Jesus' forgiveness and turning up to church and to worship him and have that great feeling. But they didn't want the other stuff that went with it. They didn't want to have to say to their friends, you know what, I believe in Jesus and therefore I can't go to the temple with you. They wanted the idea of being able to say, you know what, we all believe the same thing, it's fine. That human desire. And then some of the young guys, especially, I could imagine, they were thinking to themselves, well, I know Jesus has sort of gave us really good standards of how to live, and especially around sexual morality. But you know what, I kind of don't like those. They're a bit restrictive for me. So they wanted to believe the fake news that was supporting their view of things and what they wanted to do. And Jesus just says, guys, this fake news is going to cost you dearly in the end. And we all know that's true. Fake news may sound nice for a while. You may like it because it supports your view, but in the end, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the butt. And you need to be careful of it. So I just want to give you 4 very quick things of how to protect yourself from fake news. Number 1, check if it's true. When I see a news article saying something's happened, often before I do anything else, I'll check on the BBC website. Now, I kind of trust the BBC. I know some of you think it's evil, but I think it's quite good. And I've noticed the BBC don't put stuff on as quickly as other places do. And for me, that's good because they double check their facts and whether it's right or wrong before they put it online. And when they make a mistake, they say sorry. So for me, it's the BBC. For you, it might be something different, but check like news stories, whether it's true or not. The next thing as well is if it's a biblical thing, check it's in the Bible. At the amount of times when people have quoted Bible verses, I've opened up my Bible to check what they're saying is right, and I've realized they've either misquoted it, or I've even had a few times where the Bible verses wasn't actually in the Bible, and it took me a while as a pastor to actually click it wasn't a book of the Bible. A bit embarrassing, really. So check out the truth. Next thing is this. If it sounds crazy and bonkers, chances are it probably is. It's common sense. If they're saying that pigs are now flying or monkeys are now pilots, guys, don't believe it. If it sounds too good to be true or sounds a bit crazy, often it is. Do you really think that Morrison's are going to give you 150 quid just for sharing this one thing? Really? If it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. So be sensible. If it sounds too crazy to be true, often it will be. The next thing is check. What is the motivation behind it? Now, you got to realize some websites will say crazy stuff because they want you to come to their website. So you click on their buttons and you get the money sent to them via advertising and other stuff. So they're trying to catch you out and they're trying to draw you in. So be very, very careful about being drawn in and checking the motivation behind it. If it's a far right group, they might be pushing certain agendas. If it's newspapers, they're pushing certain agendas as well. So be careful who you follow. Okay, and what is their motivation behind it? What is their agenda? Are they trying to get money from you? Are they trying to brainwash you? Are they trying to get you to think a certain way? And the final thing is this, really important thing we don't talk about a lot, is when you've got it wrong and you've shared something that's wrong, admit you got it wrong. Don't be defending yourself and justifying yourself. If it was wrong, if it was fake news, if you were gullible, say, you know what, I messed up, I'm sorry. Simple as that. Because you know what, people respect you more for admitting that you got it wrong than for pretending that you got it right. And in all of this, it's important that we search for truth. That we don't search for fake news that just makes us feel good or supports our views, but we search for truth. And for me, actually, in my life, my truth, I believe I found in Jesus. And Jesus said these amazing words in John chapter 8, verses 31 to 32. He says this, "If you hold on to my teachings, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Guys, truth is so important. For me as a Christian, generally in the world, it should be important. And I just want to encourage you, in a world of fake news, search for truth. And I believe that when you search for truth, you will find it in Jesus. Have a brilliant Sunday.